Hi there, welcome to this week midweek market analysis. So as usual, we'll be running through some of the charts and highlighting some opportunities for you. Now, yesterday we did have the consumer confidence data coming in, and we kind of see that actual data is greatly lower than the anticipated one, and we did see the dollar weakening as of yesterday, right? So that's sentiment move from this particular data over here. And of course, that kind of opens up the possibility where we may have again, going back into the conversation of are we going to see a recession in the US going into next year? Okay, so we did see the dollar sell off a little bit. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the dollar index chart over here, this is basically the sell off. Now, having said that, from an overall perspective, I think that doesn't really change much in perspective of a overall structure, right? So we continue to remain bullish for now. And of course, unless the price is able to take off the low here at 103, then we may need to reassess it. But I think right now we may still see a little bit of a pushback up. And then of course, after which we're still expecting a deeper pullback. Okay. So any buy trade right now in terms of the dollar can be actually seen as a short-term opportunity. Okay, you do not want to hold it for the long run. If you have some profits, you may want to manage it accordingly. Okay. If you flip over to the euro, that's where I'm seeing this as well, right? So yesterday we did get a little bit of push up, but that doesn't change the overall structure. In fact, this is just probably a corrective structure as a whole, and we're still anticipating the downside over here. Okay, so same thing here, nothing has changed. We're still looking at the sell as long as price remains below this level with a target at around 1.07. Now once price tag this area, you want to definitely be taking any sell trade off and start to focus on potential reversal from there on. Alright, that's on the euro. Pound, dollar, nothing has changed. In fact, yesterday was just the completion of an internal corrective move within. So we are still expecting downside over here with our initial target at the low around 1.2475. Okay, and then after that we expect an intermediate kind of like pullback in 3. And then after that another drop, right? To kind of complete the structure of an impulse correction impulse. Okay, so opportunities are still there in terms of the major pairs. We're still looking at downside, right? So Aussie dollar as well. Okay, yesterday we did get a push up from dollar weakness, and the CPI for Australia, okay, just got released this morning, and it actually got lower, okay, than expected. So what we're expecting here is we can still look for short-term bearishness in the Aussie. Okay, so if we can get a tiny bit of a crawl structure, right, so it means that price continue to go higher, but it starts to show a lack of momentum, then this zone here is definitely an opportunity for us to look for a sell with a target at 6,330. Right, so major pairs, definitely opportunities are there. Dollar CAD had a break to the downside yesterday, breaking this little neckline. Okay, so you can see this as a mini double little top. Okay, neckline is broken. So what we're waiting for over here is a corrective pullback. If we can get that, then we have a minor impulse correction, and we can definitely look for more downside with a final target back at the 50 and 618. Okay, and that will put us around 1.3365 to 1.33 even level. So again, opportunities are there on majors. Now, dollar yen is a little bit unclear right now. Okay, but because this level is still holding, we're basically bullish and expecting a little bit more upside. But if you look at the bigger time frame on the 4 hour, if I zoom out, right, on a bigger perspective, okay, we are probably getting very close to the top of the channel, and that's where you do not want to be overly aggressive buying anymore, because there's a good possibility at this point here we may start to see some kind of rejection back down. Okay, so any buy in terms of dollar yen, if you're into it, okay, you want to definitely be very aggressive in taking partial profits, managing a trade. Okay, one target you can aim for is around 147.90. That's the 127 extension. Of course, you can go a little bit further to retest the top of the channel. But for me, this is definitely not the best of all. I mean, we have better opportunities that we can definitely focus into. So this one, my personal take is to just give it time, leave it aside, wait for it to develop into a much better and clearer structure before we commit to it. Okay, gold had a very nice little push, okay, to complete that target zone in Wave as well. So this is pretty impulsive. So moving forward for gold, if we can get a 3-wave correction back down, that would definitely be a buy trade opportunity with anticipation that we can break the trend line from here. Okay, so as long as price is able to remain above this low 1884, we're gonna remain bullish, and if we can get a 3-wave corrective pullback, we have a buy trade set up. Okay, now if I stretch this up a little bit, okay, if you get a corrective move and in the anticipation of a break above the trend line, this would definitely open up a lot of upside, right? So keep an eye on gold. You may not get a actual entry within this week, because a correction like this would take time, but you definitely want to monitor this going into next week as well, because you never know, maybe by next Tuesday, okay, we may get something and then we can then start to look for a buy. Okay, crude oil is currently testing that 50 and 618 pullback after this little 3-wave move. Okay, so again, if you can get a decent lower time frame raw structure on a H1 for an internal break, right, or on a H4 we kind of wait for an impulsive drop first. Either way, we're looking at a rejection. If we can get that, then we can expect a little bit more downside towards 75.35 and $73.70. S&P, okay, very nice little pushback to complete that 1, 2, 3. So we're in this territory again. So pretty much very similar to gold, okay, which is already in a key level, very much similar to crude oil, which is a key level. So the approach of this are quite similar, right? We're basically just waiting and see, can we get a rejection? If we can, then this would likely be a little bit more downside. If this just forms a tiny bit of a correction like that, then of course we'll expect this to go up, right? So be a little bit patient. When price is at a key level, you just want to be patient, observing how price is going to develop from there, because that will give you the clue as to what is likely going to happen next. Okay, Owing here, we may have a potential sell trade as well. We have this impulsive drop, little correction coming back at 15618, very nice little reaction there as well. So moving forward, we're expecting this to come back now and retest the low at 181.80 and 181 even level. Okay, so another sell opportunity here on pound yen. We'll take a look at it. Euro pound would suggest to be patient with a 3-wave pullback before getting involved in the buy. Okay, so we have this as a potential leading diagonal. Wait for a 3-wave corrective pullback. This zone here is where we can look for a buy trade to the upside. Okay, so again, this one, maybe you need to wait a while. Maybe the setup will come to us next week. Okay, because the correction again would need time to develop. Now, Bitcoin had a pretty nice impulsive break. Right, so definitely back to our radar. If you can get a corrective 3-wave pullback, this is definitely a decent buy trade on Bitcoin. Okay, so if you stretch it out a little bit, you can say this, right? I mean, whether this is gonna take off and break the previous high, or this is just gonna probably develop into a bigger 3-wave, I think it's worth looking into the buy, right? Now, for me, I'm not too keen in selling Bitcoin, but any opportunity that's decent enough for us to get involved in the buy, I think definitely want to pay closer attention, because you never know if this just suddenly rocket up and break off the previous high, then that's a very, very good entry point. Alright, so that's all from me for this week's midweek video over here. Okay, all the best to your trading, and we'll see you guys in the next one.